used to be Danish, as you well know, Niels, for many hundreds of years. It's only the last couple of 300 years, 250, that this part of Sweden is Sweden. It was Danish before. So, and our county flag, Skåne, is yellow and red. The yellow from the Swedish flag and the red from the Danish flag. And you...
Get the bike out in about 15 minutes and cycle into work. It's got a bit of a busy day, but it is what it is, as they say. All stations coming through pretty good. Paul, you're about 5 and 9 plus 10, I would say. Brian, you're also quite a good signal, 5, 9 plus. Haven't heard Martin as yet, but I'm sure you'll be quite strong as you usually are there, Martin. Anyway, as I said, not going to hang around, so I wish everybody 73s, and nice to have a quick call in, I think. So I'll put it over to you then, Martin. Hope you're copying me all right. Using the homebrew setup as usual, so I'll put it over to you. G3YJO from GW0FZY.
Yeah, GW0FZY, and I heard Mike G3MHX call in. Morning, Mike. Good morning, Justin. 20 over 9, a bit of QSB, but very nice signal indeed. And yes, on the alum, yeah, we'll give that a go, and I'll report back. And by the way, I'm not sure who was it who suggested yesterday putting the knobs in the microwave. So I tried that and got out a couple of red hot knobs, and it didn't make any difference whatsoever. So that didn't seem to do the trick. So microwaving your grub screw doesn't seem to. It was worth a go. And I found a small bottle, talking about little vials of liquid, Paul. I have a little box that I have left over from when I was at school, and inside is a couple of things that as a school kid we treasured. One of which is a little glass sort of baby test tube with, I suppose, a dollop of mercury about the size of a pea in the bottom, which I'd had to play with. And another one is a bottle of unknown acid. It's a little bottle. It's about the size of your thumb. Hasn't been opened, I suppose, for goodness knows now 40 odd years. So I had a quick sniff of it to see which one it was, and it's not hydrochloric, but I have a feeling it's probably sulfuric, not nitric. But I do remember fuming nitric acid. Yes, pretty impressive stuff. And of course, in those days, used to make up battery acid by taking concentrate sulfuric acid and diluting it. Of course, you always add the acid to the water. It gets very hot. Not the other way around, because it spits. Yes, as we were saying yesterday, those are the days when we learnt a lot. Right, yeah, I was swapping from R107 to R107 on the last set of transmissions, just to compare signals. And it's sort of interesting because one of them, which is the least sensitive, it's not very clear where the change in sensitivity is, and I need to measure through the chain, because the R107 has a single RF amplifier, so it's actually quite a quiet receiver, and then it's almost sounded as though it wasn't so much the signal to noise, but just the pure audio output. So I'm just wondering whether the audio stage is perhaps not got as much beef. So I need to do a few signal SIG-gen tests and sort of trace back and see where the gain is dropping off a bit. Anyway, there we go, all good fun. Have to say, actually, at the end of the day, I still prefer the 52-set receiver. So, oh dear, there we go. Right, on to Mike, and Mike, you put it onto Paul. So G3, I must put a dash next to Paul, otherwise I should get the order wrong and then get thrashed later. G3MHX, G3YJO.
Eric, je t'ai pas vraiment compris, mais c'est vrai que tu n'étais pas tout à fait sur la QRG, mais bon, ça c'est pas la limite.
After church on Sunday, and we had a drive up there. What I haven't done yet is to see how we get to the beach. Now, because it's that car park, I'm presuming there'll be steps down or something or other. But I did warn the congregation there might be a short abseil to get to the beach. But it'll be round about 13:30 hours, 1:30. And we're hoping that the tide has turned and is reasonably close to the shoreline, so that people effectively can just stand on the edge of the cliff and watch it all happen. Yes, you're right, Roy. It'll probably be in and out as quickly as we can. But my son Michael, he's going to join the pastor in the sea to assist in the baptism. And we've got Emma as well, who's being baptised as well. I think she's 15 or 16. So, and she was up for going into the sea because Emma, like I, didn't want a chlorine-based type affair. So it's moving water, as it were. And yes, it'll be quite chilly, no doubt. On Sunday it was a howling gale and rain and very, very cold off the sea. But we'll see. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's not the situation, it's what it means to everybody. Yeah, a quick rundown on what we've done. Sorry to hear about Charles as well, UJW, because he hasn't been in touch, has he, for a long while. So, but it sounded peaceful. So we know he's with the Lord now, so that's fine. DX work, the 3 Charlie 1 Lima, I've worked him on 2 bands. I couldn't get the other island, which was 3 Charlie 0 Lima. And I've been currently chasing Burundi and Mellish Reef. So I don't know whether they're still operating now, but I could hear them very loud indeed, but I couldn't get through the pile-up on CW. And I don't bother with the SSB, because that's even worse. But the pile-ups just sound like jingle bells. And it's up all the time, so you don't know where he is. So it really is a best guess at times. Sounds like you're going to have major works there, Peter, around your new dwelling. What happened to the sign-off by the building inspectors? But there you go. What else? Quickly. There'll be pictures from the baptism anyway, so I'll get some off to you, Peter, for the next newsletter and so on. So you'll have all that. And don't forget, I won't be here on Sunday, Peter, for the net controller, because I'm away at Linton on Ouse all day. So that's about it, Roy, I think. All my news at this end on this Wednesday morning. Fire alarm tests at work and such like to go on with, and a coffee morning. So I'm looking forward to that anyway. M1CRA, G4SMB, over.
Yes, G4SMB from M1CRA. Yes, all very, very interesting news there, Michael. Very, very interesting. And these people will know where the car parks are. That is countryside where he used to always go, or still goes. So, thank you for all the news, and we'll keep in touch with all the news. And congratulations on contacting those stations on CW. Yes, SSB is one madhouse, and I was very lucky to get through to the contest station in Surringham on the worldwide one. And they're going again next year, and they're going to take bigger aerials. They think the PZ4 Chaos Kid, they think they came second, so that was good, wasn't it? But they're thinking of taking bigger aerials next year. Ah dear, they were competing with the Moroccan station. So all very interesting. So over to you, Roy. GI4 CBG from M1 CRA.
M1 CRA from GI4 CBG. Oh, it's great to hear all the news from Michael and Peter there. It's especially to hear about Peter's house and the troubles that he's got. I sincerely hope it won't be long till you get those cleared up. This is always the trouble with new property. The contractors sort of like people to move in when they haven't quite got the place cleared up. Whenever I lived outside Leicester, in Syston, Edith and I had a new bungalow, and it was in a cul-de-sac, and we had quite a bit of time to wait before it was ultimately finished. By the time the road was finished and the pavements and things like that. However, we got it all sorted out eventually, and we were in it for 4 years. So that's it. And Mike, I hope everything goes well for you today. I'll not hold it too long. I'll put it back to Roy. M1 CRA, GI4 CBG.
Yes, GI4 CBG from M1 CRA. Yes, okay, Roy. And yes, we've all had experiences of roads up. And as I said, I live in a cul-de-sac now. And Peter does, I think. We're all starting to live in bungalows. It's only Mike that's an active member, a working member along with Peter. So we'll see how things go. But all very, very interesting news. And Roy, I hope he did as well. So Peter, it's nearly coming up to 8 o'clock, so over to you, Peter, now for your probably final over. G0PPQ from M1 CRA.
Okay, Roger, M1 CRA Golf 0 Papa Quebec. Yeah, Shirley was just going out the door as well and just come in and said, the workmen have already arrived. So, yeah, we'll get off. Thanks very much, Mike, for all the information on South Shore there. Yeah, I know the area, grew up in Bridlington. So, we'll endeavour to park on the approach road. Not sure about the tides, and can't say for certain if there are any steps. So, yeah, you may have to abseil HI. But thanks very much for all the info. Catch up with everyone again further down, and 501 to the shortwave listeners. Thank you, Roy. M1 CRA Golf 0 Papa Quebec.
Yes, G0PPQ from M1 CRA. Yes, have a good day at work, Peter, and all the best there to Shirley. And yes, I've got you off before 8 o'clock. So over to you, Mike, now G4SMB for your final over before you go to work. G4SMB from M1 CRA.
M1 CRA from G4SMB. Thank you, Roy, and thanks for pulling me in. Have a good day. Have a good week. I won't be on Sunday, but I should be on the international net on Saturday afternoon. We've got the grandchildren, so if they get boisterous, I shall hide in the chat. So 73501 from Driffield, and cheerio to you, Roy, as well. M1 CRA, G4SMB, over.
Yes, G4SMB in the back of the group. Yes, okay, thank you, Mike, and have a good day at work. And I take it you didn't buy the Sandler car, over?
Say again, over.
I said, I take it your group didn't buy the car.
I'm sorry, Roy, I couldn't get that. Could you say it again?
That antique car, the Sandler car made in Malvern, over?
Oh, yeah, Roger, sorry, yes. I put it on our intranet, and Julie down at Malvern there, she was very, very pleased about it, and she's printed it off, and it's hanging on the wall somewhere in the development, over.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I managed to send it to you. Right, okay, thank you, Mike, and have a good day at work.
Thanks very much.
Final CQ Acro. I wonder if there's any latecomers. This is M1 CRA. M1 CRA, calling CQ Acro. Wondering what happened to Howard and John and Alistair. CQ Acro. M1 CRA, apply for any call. Anyone, anywhere. You don't have to be a member to join. No, nothing else heard. So, before I close the net, I'll put it back to you, Roy, for your final over. And it's a short net this morning, closing bang on 8 o'clock. So over to you, Roy. I hope you and Edith are well. And by the way, Roy, are you doing the, have you sent off your puzzle yet out of Wackrell? No, sorry, out of the SWL magazine. Have you sent it off? It's well worth sending off that puzzle. I won a book 2 years ago, and John won a book last year. There's quite a lot of prizes. Back to you, Roy. GI4CBT from M1 CRA.
M1 CRA from GI4CBG. Well, it's been a very short net this morning with just the four of us on, but nevertheless it's very good to hear what everyone else is saying, and very interested also to hear about the preparations for the baptism that Mike was telling us about. But anyway, there it is. I look forward to being on again at our usual time at 10 o'clock, and we will have a bit of a chat then. I was thinking very much today of having my hair cut. There is a barber shop just 120 yards down the road in the group of shops which are there, but Edith says she'll cut it for me, so I'll see how things pan out. Anyway, thank you again for running the net. I'd say 501s to yourself and also to any other listeners who are on, and we'll look forward, as I said, to be on again at 10 o'clock. M1 CRA, GI4CBG.
Yes, GI4CBG from M1 CRA. Yes, okay, Roy. Are you going to send that competition in from the ISWL? It's well worth doing, Roy. Over?
I don't know. I hadn't really run into it too deeply. I'll have another wee look at it though. So thank you for reminding me. So see you then at 10 o'clock. 501s.
Yeah, 501s to you and to all shortwave listeners on the net. And a special 501s to Margaret in Cheltenham and Malcolm. Especially to those two that are local to me. So 501s and hope all is well. And I'll just give one final CQ just in case. CQ Wackrell, M1 CRA is now closing. No one else. So the net this morning consisted of G0PPQ, GI4CBG, G4SMB, M0PAR as M1 CRA, and we say 501s to all listeners wherever you are. And I shall be on the net, the Wackrell net again at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock. I can't think of it. Oh yes, on 40 meters, on 7.147, all being well. And there again is 9:30 tonight on this frequency. So thanks to all for listening, and thank you for all those who joined. This is M0PAR definitely closing the net. Goodbye all.
Some new stuff, there's some pretty old stuff, and my friend and I are sorting it out. So that's what I've been doing all day yesterday. Hard shift actually from 1:30 till 5 o'clock. Hey, it's as if I was back at work. Might have had a cup of tea about 3:30, but there you go. It was a long shift, standing all the time, and some of the equipment was quite heavy, but I came out of it pretty well. So there you go. Enough rambling from me. Rambling. So I heard G3YGO mentioned, so I reckon that's going to him, and I do hope that's right there. So very good morning to you, Brian, and I'll listen attentively tomorrow if I'm on there, and make up for my loss there. G3YGO from Golf 3 Tango Sierra Kilowatt. Go ahead, Martin, please, over.
G3XGW, good morning.
G3XGW, very good morning, Keith, and nice signal on the call-in. Good morning to you, Colin, also good signal, and good morning to Mike, who I'm afraid, Mike, you're about a 4 and 4, to be honest. I was really struggling, not very strong, and I was having not really making an awful lot of sense. Perhaps maybe even a 3 and 4 to be even more honest. Good morning to Justin, who's disappeared, and let's just cross you off, and also cross off Brian. Enjoy the cornflakes, and all noted about the collection of bicycles. Yeah, well, yes, all black ones. Well, they're probably coming back into vogue now. And Paul, the 52 set receiver, well, at first glance it does look a bit shabby, but internally it's a bit sort of grubby, but with a bit of cleaning up I think it's going to be okay on the internals. The externals, the front panel is sort of in a bit of a mixed condition. There's some, a bit like the curate's egg, it's sort of, well, in this case it's the opposite, it's bad in parts. There's a few little bits of rust here and there, and unfortunately some of the paintwork is a bit sort of scratched and slightly sort of pitted. So looking at it, it's going to be difficult to repair that cosmetically and keep the original markings. So I will have to have a look and see what's the best way to restore that. The other bits of rust, which always look a bit sort of frightening on the tuning dial and so forth, that's fairly easy to fix, so I'm not too worried about that. But the front panel probably is going to have to be stripped down and redone, and then of course you have the problem about the lettering. In fact, I was sort of thinking about that a while ago. The problem is, of course, you can't get white lettering on the water decal, which is by far the easiest thing to do. I've used the Letraset, which of course works very well, but that's quite painful to get right, and if you've got a lot of the lettering, then it's a pretty long, tedious job, whereas the water decal is much quicker. But since you can only get transparent and not white, the only other thing I was thinking of doing is to mask off the area and then spray black paint, and then what was I thinking? Spray white paint. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, spray white paint as a background in a sort of rectangle masked off area, and then use black Letraset, because that gets you the wrong way around. So now the whole thing. Then use white Letraset. That's right. Okay, I got it now. Yeah, sorry, too early in the morning and no elixir. So yeah, the idea was to spray the background sort of rectangle where you're going to do the lettering white, mask that off, spray it white, and then print transparent with a black rectangular surround on the water decal. So it's got to give that a go and see if that actually works. Right, got there in the end. So with that, I think it's time to pass it on to Keith. Very good morning to you, Keith. And I was just saying, if you weren't listening, I've got two R107s up on the bench running, and I'm comparing the two to see how they perform. And one of them is definitely more sensitive than the other, but it's not easy to see quite where the sensitivity difference lies, so I'm going to have to do some interstage measurements. So with that, over to you, Keith, and you can put it on to Mike, G3MHX, G3XGW, G3YJO.
M0UI calling in.
That was Tony, M0UI. So just about got the voice rather than the call. Yeah, very good morning all, G3XGW. Bit of a overcast, grey, sort of misty, damp looking morning, unfortunately. It's 10 degrees, so it's not cold. So not sure we're going to see much in the way of sunshine today. We didn't see any yesterday. Stations I've heard so far have been very good. Martin, you were on the end stop for quite a lot of the time, which means you're 30 over 9. I'm not sure which particular bit of kit you're running this morning. And I did just about hear Mike, but I wasn't really copying 100%. Oh, why is that bleeping? My weather station's bleeping, that's odd. It's trying to tell me something, I don't know what. Yes, and Colin, you're a very good signal as well, and thank you for the information on those pictures that you forwarded. I can't really, to be honest, see anything there that interests me particularly. It's all a bit too modern. As you say, this a late friend of yours obviously did an awful lot of collecting. So I'm sorry about that. I'll try and get rid of that in a moment. And okay, on the 52 set receivers, Martin, you're not starting a horde of those as well as the 107s, are you? Because two is a coincidence, but 3 becomes a collection. That's the theory here, anyway. Anyway, good luck with that. Yes, you mentioned about the difference between the R107s. I think you said one was a very early one, so maybe there are some, some slight differences in the circuitry. Brian, yes, copying you okay, no problem. And Paul, obviously, no trouble. All these you talk about chemicals that you've got on the shelf. The trouble is, of course, when you think about it, that if you'd used them in the past, they've probably done the damage by now, if they're going to do any. So it's a bit of stable door and horse syndrome, isn't it? Anyway, hopefully. I don't know where on earth you'd go to get rid of a known carcinogen safely. You'd probably end up in all sorts of discussions and problems. Just about got my loft back in working order. I've now got some boarding over the areas where I store bits and pieces, and that makes life a lot easier. But I did have to get the spraying mask on to move the fiberglass around, which really came into its own, actually. That's a very useful thing. Anyway, let's put it on to Tony. I'm fairly sure that was Tony calling in. Oh, dear me, trying to remember his call sign. M0UI, isn't it? Jess, G3XGW. You pass it on to G3MHX.
Good morning all. M0UI returning to the AM group. Yeah, well, I've got about 8 of noise, but you're plus 10. 9 plus 10 over, so not too bad. I haven't been getting that horrible other noise which I've had in the past. There you go. Yeah, dull, misty and horrible. Yeah, but they're threatening a little bit of sunshine in the afternoon, so we'll have to wait and see. Running on the, I think I've got it set about right now, the Expert MB1 transceiver.
M1 PVC, and then back to me, please, Mike.
M1 PVC, and then anyone else, this is G-Formation. What I've done, I just did a tone control on the transistor playout here. But for better or worse, people don't get me there very well. Or whatever. And so I adjusted the cathode resistor in the LR6 modulator, putting it over high as an experiment. Maybe it's the whole business, I don't know. Anyway, so the temperature is 8 degrees. Later on here. And the heat is forecast around 12 degrees. So I'm travelling on 54. With the linear, so I'm going to compress 2 full-threaded capacitance series on the 80-metre range on the shoulder. The short and the long load on the watch shows it very well. Anyway, I think it's caused anyway. I want the
G3MHX, M1 PVC, yes, you're Q5 here. Mike, there's still the tendency for that burble, as Brian said, and I said yesterday. Sounds as though you're underwater sometimes, but it's perfectly readable, so no great problem. Good morning to Keith, 15 over Keith, nice signal. And good morning to Tony, EUY, 59 here, Tony. And good morning, Colin. Well, shock horror, I haven't actually written a report. You're over 9 with me, Colin. And yes, well, as I emailed you, Colin, I think my take is about the same as Keith on that equipment. It's all a little bit modern, but as I said, that's the sort of stuff that does indeed sell at radio rallies and the like these days, so it shouldn't be any problem getting rid of it, other than the sheer quantity and the work involved. 7-3 to Brian, who's left us, Justin, of course, 54, and well, Colin, one of the reasons that I get time is while we've been on the air, I have been looking at my iPad, trying to sort out inrush suppressors. iPads are wonderful things on the internet, because you just, well, basically go on Google and start reading. It's just like having a library at your fingertips, and I wouldn't be without it. And that manual that I sent you came from the Barmer Boat Anchor site. There is a site on the internet, BAMA, one word, and that has all sorts of manuals for all sorts of equipment, and they have an awful lot of stuff there. It's well worth looking at, and all I did was put that number in and go to that site, and there was the manual for you. So enjoy, as they say. Looks like typical Japanese construction, but should work and do the job. Interested that it said that it had twin needles, that meter, but not cross needles. I don't think I've ever seen a meter with twin needles that aren't cross needles, and I immediately started to wonder how in heck they did it. But I suppose no, cross needles is easy, because you got two separate movements in the corners of the meter. But how do you get concentric needles on a meter movement? That must be a very interesting bit of mechanics in that meter. Anyway, there you go. It's just that these thoughts hit you when you read something like that. And it does indeed come round to you now, Colin. G3TSK, M1 PVC.
Roger from Golf 3 Tango Sierra Kilowatt. Yes, I tried that out on my NFED, and the range wasn't sufficient. But yes, I saw the two needles, and I didn't know which one to read. To tell you the truth, now, I didn't know which needle was the correct one, but apparently it's the black one. From memory now, from reading that manual, the black one that is the power, and the red one is the reverse. But yes, 2 needles from a sort of central sort of spigot, and most interesting. Lovely constructed pole, by the way. One of the best constructed things I've seen there for a while. Lovely, really, and the coil form as well, ceramic, and they were put right angles to one another as well. And it wasn't simply a simple T as I was thinking, but a combination of T and parallel. So I think it would have good harmonic rejections there. Anyway, I bought it to check it out, and I should think that item will go very, very well when eventually we get round to it, because it looks smart. I don't think it's been used, to tell you the truth. And my friend, he really went into it. Well, you can see from the shock there, and getting around is a hazard. So anyway, I spent all day yesterday, well, from about 1:30 till about 5 o'clock, trying to sort things out. Now, I have made some headroom, but not very much. And someone came a few days ago and bought a fair bit of stuff, and it's as if they've never bought anything at all, because it looks as though it's still all there. So yes, but I have to do the best for my friend, haven't I? And I've been asked to do it, so I'm trying my best I can. So there we go. He said, oh dear. Well, today I think I'm off to Torn to Minehead. I like Minehead. It's a gentle place, and when Sheila does what she does, I go along the harbour and watch the tide come in or watch the tide go out. It's a nice sort of way to pass a couple of hours, and I can muse. Good morning, Keith. Good signal from me. I sent it mainly for interest to you two lads, mainly to Paul, mainly for interest, to see just, I don't think you may have seen a shock just the same as that. I certainly haven't. I was staggered when I saw it. So I sent it mainly for interest. And I think you will say that it is remarkable, isn't it? Remarkable. Anyway, there we go. I've got a bit of help. So that's what I'll be doing. Tony, I didn't hear at all. I didn't hear Tony at all. Very, very weak, that's the truth. And Mike, you came up quite well, and I heard 100%. So good on you, lad. You're sticking to it. That was a very good transmission from you, and I'm pleased to get in somewhere. I really am. So I have to pass it over to you, Martin. A good signal from you. And rust, somebody mentioned, I don't like rust. And also, on a couple of these microphones that's in this lad's shack, there are a couple of shewers, and there's a little bit of corrosion from the aluminium inserts. I don't know if that's going to affect the working properties, but there's certainly a little bit of corrosion, and I just wonder how there's anything we can do about that. Just brushing it off perhaps would be sufficient, I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Over to you then, Martin. And okay on your 52 set, I think you were talking about. G3YJ or G3TSK. I'm making this my last, lads, but I will listen. From G3TSK. Go ahead, please. Over.
Yeah, G3TSK, G3YJO. Yeah, fine. Well, very nice signal, Colin. 9 to 9 plus 5, just picking up nicely. You can see the modulation picking up too. So very good signal this morning. And excuse me, got the frog, but no frog switch on this this set. Using the wireless set 52 this morning. And alongside the serried ranks of 107s, got two of those running in parallel at the moment to compare performance, and yeah, sort of interesting anyway, and I'll have to decide which one I'm going to keep and then what to do with the others. And on the 52 set again, yeah, yes, I'm not quite sure what's the best thing. I got a suspicion that the sorry, that's the 52 set receiver that was acquired at the Baggington auction. I suspect I'm going to have to strip down the whole front panel and get it re-sprayed in order to make sure I got rid of all the rust and everything, because I think it's not sort of one of those things, it's not like little patches, it's sort of bits here and there, and the paint is sort of, say, pitted and scratched, so not really easy to touch up. So I've got a feeling it's going to be a start again job, and see how that goes, and something to do in the long winter evenings. What was the other point? Oh yes, carcinogenic materials. Yes, I mean in those early days, people weren't anything like as aware of that. I remember carbon tetrachloride was the sort of household cleaner, basically, and used a lot of that. So whatever damage, no doubt, from that has already been done. So don't use that anymore. And of course now we're much more careful with all these various substances. Oh, back on that 52 set receiver, Paul. Yeah, the case on the outside, which is the bit that I was not exactly most interested in, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted that particular unit. So that case is a bit tatty, but it's actually